the morning sports briefing here on Monday, the 15th of June. And yes, this is the best way to start your day up to date with the important sports news here on New Zealand Sports Radio. And in the news this morning, Messi in close encounter, friendships put on hold, Bulldogs versus Roosters game postponed, Highlanders and Blues win in front of big home crowds, and we'll have a live golf update as well. So all of that going on today, a big news day as we start the week. In football, we'll start with the EPL, and over in the EPL, they have had another round of coronavirus tests, 1,200 tests this time, bringing the total now to 8,687 tests. Wow. Here as they test each other, as they test the whole league twice a week. This time, there have been 2 positive tests, one of which is with Spurs, and the other one has been is unidentified at the moment. It was a player not for Spurs, it was for Norwich, who played Spurs. Norwich have had a positive test of one of their players, and they had a friendly against Spurs. Both teams said that the Norwich player did not have any close contact with the Spurs players, so it looks like it was contained to him. He has now gone into self-isolation, and as they obviously look to try and restart the EPL over there in the UK. Lionel Messi has had a close encounter. A pitch invader climbed a 2-meter fence to get into the ground, and then invaded the pitch to try and get a selfie with Lionel Messi. Premier League are taking this very seriously, taking this as being a criminal act, putting the person's life and other people's lives in danger. So expect that person, to have his day in court for trying to get a picture with somebody. Heading over to the Belarusian league, where we actually have had action over the weekend. Dynamo Minsk won 1-0 over Slavia. So that's Hugh's team there. Sorry, Hugh. Another loss for your team. Sat down in 12th on the table. Energex lost as well to Belashina. Belashina get their first win of the season. It's taken 13 games, but finally they've got there with a 1-0 win. It still sees them bottom of the table. And finally, Rua Brest lost to Verbitsk, who won 1-0. Verbitsk climbing up to 10th in the table. We still have one game overnight between Bate and Shaka Kotor, which will bring you an update of the full table tomorrow morning. And it looks like the A-League will be resuming on the 16th of July. They have extended all their contracts through till the end of August. 3-month extension for those contracts. So that's when they have to get things sorted. So the Phoenix are looking to cross over and base themselves in Sydney for that resumption. The FFA and Fox Sport are still discussing what the broadcast deal will be. Fox Sport looking at trying to either reduce or get out of their long-term contract with the A-League. Now, if that can't happen, some of the owners have said, look, let's just cancel the season and come back. They said, look, we don't need Fox Sport to survive. Well, there are other methods. So we'll see how that one all pans out. Going to hand you over now to Ashwin, who's going to take us through our cricket update and let us know which friendships have been put on hold.
Yeah, well, welcome, Paul, and welcome to all those listeners and viewers out there on the interweb. Yes, friendships put on hold. Friendships will be put on hold once play begins between England and West Indies. Jofra Archer played under-19s for the West Indies, but this will be the first time he faces the West Indies in a test since jumping ship and putting his lot in with England. West Indies bowler Kemar Roach has said there will be no friendships between West Indies and England. Jofra Archer during the upcoming Test series. Archer has many friends after his time in the under-19 setup at the West Indies, where he played alongside Shai Hope, Kemar Holder and Alzari Joseph, as well as Preston McSween. So there's going to be nice, good hostilities going on there between those two teams, and we look forward to that. Also coming from Kemar Roach, he can't wait to get stuck into the English and hang on to the Wisden Trophy, and you can understand why. He took 18 wickets in the last Test series against England in last year's series, where they triumphed 2-1 for the first time in 10 years. That was for West Indies to beat the English in the Test series, that is. He'll be looking to emulate the first Test in that series, where he took 5 for 17 and the West Indies rolled England for 77. Broach understands it'll be a difficult job, as the playing conditions will be quite different from what they encountered in the West Indies in that series. Now, I'm looking forward to that Test series, as it will be the first game of international cricket since the lockdown started. Just can't wait for that to start. And news out of Australia, Adam Zampa will be moving from South Australia and going on contract with New South Wales. Zampa's looking to get more game time in red ball cricket. And with Aussie Test bowler also at New South Wales, this will give Zampa plenty of game time whilst Lyon is away playing for Aussie in the Test series. Strangely enough, while in his time at South Australia, Zampa has only played 3 Sheffield Shield games in the last 2 seasons. And that, Paul, is our limited cricket news for Monday.
Thank you very much, Ashwin, for bringing us up to speed here on New Zealand Sports Radio with the latest cricket. And we're going to hand you now over to Stephen, who's going to take us through our birthdays this morning.
Thank you, Paul, and good morning to everybody. Welcome to the start of a very new week. And birthdays today, a 1-game All Black, a 2004 Summer Olympian, and finally an Olympic bronze medalist in the pool. Paul Kingsman, MBE, born this day, the 15th of June, 1967, is a swimmer and Olympic medalist from New Zealand. He participated at the 1988 Summer Olympics, winning a bronze medal in the 200-metre backstroke. He also competed at the 1984 Summer Olympics. Kingsman, who celebrates his 53rd birthday today, was awarded an MBE for services to swimming in the 1990 Queen's Birthdays Honours. Melina Hamilton, born this day, 15th of June 1976 in Rotorua, is a retired New Zealand athlete who specialised in pole vault. She represented her country at the 2004 Summer Olympics as well as 2 World Championships without reaching the final. Her personal bests of 440.40 metres outdoors 2003 and 4.20 metres indoors 2004 were at the time national records. Both were broken by Eliza McCartney in 2014. Hamilton celebrates her 44th birthday today. And finally, Mike Delaney, born this day, 15th of June 1982, is a former New Zealand rugby union player who played Super Rugby, most recently for Crusaders, but also represented both the Chiefs and the Highlanders, and in provincial rugby, the Bay of Plenty Steamers in the Mitre 10 Cup. Delaney, who turns 38 today, also made 1 appearance for the All Blacks in 2009. That's it for birthdays. I'll be back shortly with league news.
Thank you very much, Stephen, for that. And heading into now our rugby update. And let's be honest, rugby has been the topic that's been on everyone's mind this weekend here as Super Rugby Aotearoa has kicked off this weekend. The Highlanders won an absolute thriller against the Hurricanes just by 1 point with a late drop goal. 2 drop goals in that game and an attempt in the Blues game. Wow, really back to the future style there. Then yesterday, the Blues put on a dominant performance to beat the Hurricanes 30-20. In the first half, it was just a 1-point lead. They came out of the sheds, fixed their issues around the discipline, and went on to dominate that second half and pull away from the Hurricanes, who just could not get out of their own half. And even though a late try made the scoreline look closer than it really was. So congratulations to both the Blues and the Highlanders, who won in front of big home crowds, sell out there at Eden Park. Even if there were a couple of empty seats on the cameras, corporates, come on guys, if you're going to give away your tickets, give them to people who will actually turn up and enjoy the sport. There's plenty of us who would like to have been there on Sunday. Catch us up with the Driving Mall show this evening at 8 p.m, where we'll be talking about all the hot topics in rugby. Also, if you want a full recap of those two games, then go back and listen to the Super Rugby Aotearoa Round 1 review that we recorded last night. It's available either on our Facebook page or as a podcast, just for New Zealand Sports Radio on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or your favourite pod catcher. While all the other four teams in New Zealand were playing competitive games, the Crusaders decided to have an internal game. This finished 21-all, something we will not be seeing in real competition, as we have the golden point. Remember, folks, if it's a draw at the end of normal time, we'll have golden point with a 10-minute extension. Looking on then to, but some of the big news really from that was we saw David Havili back on the pitch, returning from his emergency bowel surgery. So great to see him back. Ethan Blackadder also was running around, who has been injured as well. So good to see these injured players, or players who were previously injured, are running around and back on the park. And that brings you up to speed with your rugby news. I want to hand you over now to Stephen, who will take us through our league update.
All got me thinking just there, that 21-all draw. Why wouldn't you actually invoke an opportunity to try the golden point theory, just to put it into practice?
Exactly. I'm very surprised they did. Well, I don't know if they did or they didn't, to be honest. But also, being an internal game, perhaps there was only so much work that he wanted them to do, and wanted to get them ahead. Who can right, look, guys, you've had your physical conditioning, the training. Perhaps I'm trying to just manage the amount of training and the tiredness of the players. I don't know. But I can say, game situations always a good thing to practice. Practice the way you're going to play out the weekend, eh?
Very, very much so. Well, couple of teams that might have been practicing yesterday because they had no game were the Bulldogs and the Roosters. That game's been postponed, but I'll get to that story shortly. The one game that was played yesterday, we had $1 million half Ben Hunt made his case for a permanent move to dummy half on Sunday after mass changes sparked St. George Illawarra's first win of the NRL season. Hunt was dropped to the bench for the local derby with Cronulla, but came on in the 22nd minute of Sunday's 30-16 win at Campbelltown. Coming into the match, it had been 86 days since the Dragons last scored a try, but they managed 5 against the Sharks to ease some of the pressure on the under-fire coach, Paul McGregor. Obviously, a lot said about the head coach last week. Hunt's shift to dummy half pushed skipper Cameron McInnes to lock, while recalled Matt Duffy added spark to the back line with Corey Norman moving back into the halves. It was the second week in a row Norman had been shifted between two positions, but he appeared more comfortable calling the shots next to rookie halfback Adam Clune. A crowd of vocal fans gathered to watch in the executive suites at the stadium and in a car park of the Western Suburbs Leagues Club, and that was next to the ground. While the Dragons celebrated just their third win from their past 15 games, the Sharks did their best to spoil the party until the dying minutes. The Dragons led 18-10 at halftime and extended the lead through McInnes in the 62nd minute, but when the Sharks skipper Wade Graham scored with 10 minutes on the clock, the intensity kicked up a notch. However, they could not find the polish in their sets, and the Dragons held on to win with a late try to Mikaele Ravalawa, sealing the win. The Dragons now play Gold Coast on Saturday, while the Sharks will be looking to bounce back against Canterbury next Sunday. That final score again, St. George Dragons 30, Cronulla Sharks 16s. And of course, there's just one game yesterday, because the other game, yesterday's Bulldogs versus Roosters NRL game, was postponed until this evening due to a coronavirus scare. But Canterbury player Aidan Tolman has been cleared of COVID-19. The round 5 match had to be moved after Bulldogs player's child had a COVID-19 incident at their school. Tolman was tested for coronavirus and his result came back negative on it yesterday, meaning that the match will not be affected further. Tolman's children attended Laguna Street Public School in Caribou South. A teacher at Laguna Street PS tested positive to coronavirus and the school will close for nearly a fortnight. It was revealed on Saturday. The Bulldogs informed the NRL of the possible risk of exposure on Saturday night. An emergency meeting was held yesterday morning. There's a very remote risk of infection within the Bulldog squad, ARLC. Chairman Peter V'landys said in a statement yesterday, tried to impersonate his voice badly. The Bulldogs versus Roosters match was scheduled for 6:05 p.m. yesterday. The match will now be played at 9 p.m. this evening at Bankwest Stadium. So one more game in the round. That's probably why we're not showing you a table this morning. We'll look at that table tomorrow morning when I'm back with more league news. See you again.
Thank you very much, Stephen, for that update. And moving on then into tennis news. And Novak Djokovic organised a tournament to give players some much needed sort of match practice before the full resumption of the ATP Tour. They split into 2 groups of 8, played a round robin, and then played out the final. And Djokovic duly won the final in front of his home crowd. 4,000 people turned out for that event. And the next leg takes place across in Croatia on the 20th of June. So a double header there for that tournament. Obviously, 20th of June basically being next weekend. So good to see them getting match practice there. Moving on to the golf, and at the end of round 3, Xander Schauffele was the, and I'm sure I've got that pronunciation all wrong. I'm very sorry. Led the field for the Charles Schwab Challenge at 13 under. There was a whole group of players just one shot behind. Woodland, Thomas, Grace, Moriwaka, and Spieth were all chasing him there. All those players from the USA. It looks like the top-ranked non-USA players were Justin Rose and Roy McIlroy at 10 under, so 3 shots back behind him going into the final round. The final round is ongoing right now, and Xander Schauffele is at 14 under after the 4th hole. He has a 1-shot lead still over Daniel Berger, Colin Morikawa, and Gary Woodland. They are on the 7th, 6th, and through the 7th, 6th, and 4th holes, respectively. Again, the top non-American challengers, we've got Justin Rose there at 11 under, and Abraham Ansir also at 11 under. So 3 shots behind still, as is South African Brendan Grace. Looking at the card, the leader in the clubhouse currently, or joint leaders, are Patrick Rogers and Roy Sabatini, who are at 10 under. I don't think they'll be required for any kind of playoffs, being 4 shots behind the leaders who are still out on the course. You have now started the day the best way, up to date with your sports news, or the important sports news, sorry. Do join us this evening at 8 p.m. for the Driving Mall Show, where we'll be obviously taking you through all the hot topics in rugby. You can join the Standoff show, which is on a Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. for your rugby league fix. Thursdays, we have Swinging from the Hip, our cricket show at 8 p.m. And then it's back into Super Rugby with Super Rugby Aotearoa, where we'll have the preview on Friday evening and the review on a Sunday evening, both at 8 p.m. So lock those into your diaries for this week. Don't miss any of those shows. And have a great Monday morning, or a great Monday, folks. Do enjoy your week, and let's enjoy the live sport that's resuming around the globe.